probably getting Justin online somewhere. I think he said he was going to be calling in or something. So everybody want to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Don't have any guests online, just Megan, right? And no guests in person either. So I think we are all. And Shauna has put out our name tags for us, which is fabulous. I passed around a phone contact info thing. If people can get that back to Kimberly, and I put you on there too.
Thank you. Yep,
there
got
it is.
it.
So Megan, can you email Kimberly your phone contact information? We're just going to use that for an internal method of communication to make sure, like instances like today, that we've got a quorum more quickly. So that's all.
Yes, I can do that.
So, I mean, you can say it if you want to, but you do not have to. So
Just email it.
just email it.
If you wanted me just to give it to you right now, I can definitely do that.
It's posted on the YouTube.
Yeah, you don't want
Oh,
everyone.
that's true.
So I would just email her. So, and our continued organizational meeting. Shauna, I asked last week, do we still need that to like live here permanently throughout the year? The continued organizational meeting.
Where are
Or have
we? Where are we
we're on
looking?
E, second page now. on E.
Sorry, I was still up at. Continue. No, let's get rid of
Yeah, I
that.
mean, it's
Okay, we had it all of last year, so that's why I
Yeah,
wasn't
and
sure
I
what
just
we were
like, I don't
supposed to
think
do.
I don't think we
I'm.
need it if we're
I guess
organized.
we can take it off.
Do you have a spare program? I didn't put any in.
I don't, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No problem.
I give it to you, but I'm kind of
Okay,
going
let's
through
take
it.
that
So
off.
I'll move a little closer.
No, I
How's
can
that?
look at it on my phone, yeah. I can do that too.
We've got approval of the minutes. Anybody have an issue with the minutes at all?
They looked beautiful.
They were fine.
How did that meeting with the other groups go on the 6th?
It was okay.
Okay.
It was less, I feel like less happened, let's put it that way, than I was hoping would
Mhm.
happen. I thought there would be a little bit more discussion. But
I think the
It's a
fact that
start.
we haven't had one of those in probably almost 3 years was probably part of it. So there's kind of a lot of new people, a lot, like almost not all new face, obviously not all new, but the dynamics. And there was a lot of time spent going around the circle and
Yep.
introducing. Yeah.
A lot of icebreakers.
We did some icebreakers. Kind
So
of.
everyone explaining why they love living in
It took about an hour in itself.
We were well represented on the ECB, which I really appreciated. So that was nice to see everybody that was there. I really appreciate everybody being there from the ECB for it. But I felt almost like we were really at the very end of the meeting when we finally started having some sort of candid conversations and discussions. And we were kind of closing it up at that point. So I think we could use another one that's maybe a little more strategy focused.
It was a 2-hour meeting to give you,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really only like the last half hour, I think, is.
Was any substantial?
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna do another one for 2023 strategic planning. Or that'll probably be the next communal group meeting like that.
Did you want to make a motion for the minutes?
Yes, can somebody make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I second.
All in favor of approving the minutes from last month?
Aye.
Aye.
That passes. We have privilege of the floor. We don't have any guests. I don't know if anybody wants to speak about anything off topic.
I just throw something out. I was up and down hiking around a couple times over the past week or so with my grandson, and all the trees that had been marked had been taken down.
Oh, good.
So,
Yay.
and I I want to, probably send Lindsay an email, a gesture of thanks.
Yeah.
And if there's anyone else you know of who is involved in that, but the dangerous trees that are across the trail or down,
Okay, good.
trees we all marked that were dead or leaning, or they're all down. It's safer and it generally just looks so much nicer, so
Mhm.
clearer. And even some mulch on the trails now, it look like someone's starting and maybe that's a work in progress.
Yeah, that's Lindsay. So they're gonna probably adjust the trails just a little bit. Some of them are quite close to the property lines. But yeah, they definitely want to be mulching them and working on the surfacing. And that's the Parks Committee is working with MRB regarding uplands plans. And that's kind of what that came from, that meeting. So,
Yeah,
so none of that, I'm passing around, Megan, just something that had some concept and ideas for things to do with upland, and none of that is in any way even decided. It's just at the very beginning thought
Mhm.
process stages, but I thought people on here in this committee might be interested in seeing it too, so.
Just another thing, because it's not on the agenda, I just want to let people know that the Menteith Creek that we talked so much about last time, they continued that.
So I was gonna say that.
That you can talk more.
No,
but
go ahead.
They did what, I'm sorry?
They continued the variance, so they didn't deny it, they didn't approve it,
Okay.
they continued it,
The Shotlands.
yeah. So the engineer and their landscape person pretty much discounted most of what we said.
Oh, of course. That's lovely.
for the next 100-year flood, which will happen within 10 years, that will be an issue.
But I think kudos to the zoning board for listening to the ACB.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that your report was well received and they used it.
Okay.
And would you agree, Kim?
I hope so. It wasn't clear to me, so.
Well, I've
You have
seen
different
them,
conversations. so.
right, but I also, I've seen the zoning board. How do I delicately say? I just think that this is an instance where they really took into consideration the comments.
Okay.
It's over to Erin.
Yeah. So they'll be back in
Thank you.
July 19th next week.
Funnily
Next
enough,
week.
so we're gonna be talking later, but I'll just bring it up now. We're gonna be talking later about goals. And this is the comprehensive plan notes that related to ECB. One thing I just want to point out, on the first page, look at the very last thing on the first page under measurables. It's ways to measure how we're doing with our natural resources in the town of Canandaigua. And the last thing listed as a measurable way to figure out if we're treating our natural resources well as variances granted for lot coverage, stream setback, and other environmental rules. So I think it's interesting that that's literally a way to measure how well we're protecting our natural resources. So. Turn this off. That was me. Okay. So we can get back to more of that later. Just put that aside for now, please, if you don't mind. Where did I put now? My agenda, which I just had sitting here. Hang on. I have way too much stuff today. There it is. Okay. Everybody good with privilege of the floor for now? Okay, development office report. Obviously, that could be part of what you were saying with Shotland.
Yeah, with Shotlands, just so you know, we have 2 solar applications that have come in. Did you see those?
I haven't looked at them yet.
Yeah.
2
2 vacant parcels on
large ones too. They were
very
like
large,
30 and
40
acres.
acres. The northernmost parcel on New Michigan.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Oh, it's the one way
Way
up
up.
by,
one that's for sale way up by the town line.
yeah.
And then the one,
Is that the owner that keeps coming to our various meetings to figure out what's going on in that section of town?
the last name, I forget the last name.
It's
It's
okay.
not DePrima, but if one of them, I forget.
You're talking the land that's for sale right at the corner?
There's one on the corner and one at the north end. The one at County Road 30, North
Mhm.
Road,
Mhm.
and then one at the very end, very north.
Isn't that area marked on our scenic views?
There's a lot. I haven't even looked.
We will
at
check
that
it out. It's just
parcel.
coming up.
I
with here, so-
yeah.
believe it is. 'cause
Well,
I-
it's in the farmland protection area. I
Yeah.
believe there's prime. either prime drained or just prime. I had, there's,
Yeah.
those
Well,
are big
yeah.
pieces of
They're
land,
huge. That was a little scary.
but we knew those, I knew those were coming,
Yeah.
so, excuse me.
Anything else from?
No, not right at the moment. I think everything else is, well, there are, just thinking of PRC, I just actually looked at them today. Shepherd has they're combining 2 lots, tearing down 2 cottages to put up a larger one. You'll
Saw
see
that
that
too.
one. Did you guys see that one? No, Marathon did. Marathon
I
is
don't
that.
have a comment on that. We did some surveying and topography for
Did
them,
you? Okay.
but we didn't get to engineering.
Okay, yeah, Lucas
Hmm.
is doing that. I think that's it right now for new ones that may be impactful.
Yep, I saw
Yep.
those 2 in there.
Yep.
You did become in this one.
Yep, Yeah, and now it's only sketch, so that's good.
And the
Okay.
PRC's on Monday, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to pop into the PRC.
Yeah,
on
PRC's
Monday,
at 9 on Monday.
feel
That's
free.
all I have.
Okay.
We have nothing from the town board, right?
I'm aware of. Does the town board ever refer anything to the ECB directly?
I've never seen it.
According to John Robitello, they can.
Yeah,
He told me to review the town board minutes, but I'm like, somebody's gonna tell us.
Yeah.
Rather than go through that.
Probably me.
Yeah, I would say the liaison would be, yeah.
Rather than go through the 200 pages.
No,
Really? You don't
God.
think that they're short enough?
Just don't do
Lord.
that.
Anyway, yeah, so nothing that I'm aware of. I'm just wondering if there's something that was commonly done in the past. That's my biggest problem with being a facilitator here and not having ever been on the committee, is I have no history of how things once
True.
worked
Got
here.
thrown in
So,
there.
CIC, I was at the last CIC. That was just yesterday, so.
Just yesterday, I tried to be part of it, but I kept getting office interrupted, so that's typical in my office. I have, Kim does, CIC minutes.
I do.
Mhm.
So I think if any time anyone in our group is interested in the CIC report, you got it.
Well, I go to
mean,
that
let's
meeting.
see, I
too.
have the one
Yep.
from the 21st.
And I
I'm trying
happened
to
be
pick
there
something
yesterday,
that
so.
says, like, in kind of an art department.
That's the 21st. Oh, that was budgets.
Oh, that was,
No,
but.
budget
was it
recap, but
budgets?
we were also talking about other things,
CIC yesterday anyway was talking about ordinance and finance. We had the whole ordinance committee there.
yeah,
And
what
we went
Lindsay
through-
spoke, did Lindsay talk too?
No,
She didn't.
that I remember, right?
Wait, yesterday?
Not
I
yet.
don't
CIC.
think Lindsay would have been there.
No, I don't think she was there.
Mm-mm.
No, but.
But the
so-
whole ordinance.
Yeah, we were all there.
Everyone was there.
Mhm.
And we went through with Doug some of the comprehensive plan goals and
Right.
where we were on those for the ordinance and the
This is great.
finance committee, the ones that affected them, which is what I've kind of got for us to talk about later too here, so.
So from the minutes from the 21st, there was mention of green roof requirements that may be looked at, something about solar panels, and there's a solar panel window glass. I don't know, oh, that might have been for
Uptown.
Uptown.
uptown issues, and conservation project team, ag committee, talking about doing signs for the PDRs. Forestry advisory group, there wasn't really too much to be said. I don't think there was anything particularly significant environmental related.
Other than that, they were gonna, maybe if you look at stuff in uptown, maybe for like electric car chargers
Yeah,
in parking lots, and what you said, the green roofs and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, EV charging stations are gonna be something that's coming up, and battery storage, for sure. we're gonna be talking about that at planning board. Our planning board meeting next week is gonna be more kind of like this, a little bit more global, looking at the planning board's goals for last year and where they've tasked themselves at looking at different topics, which they've really been really getting into. So solar was one of them, electric charging stations was another. So and then once they're ready, those will come over here for review. Well, we go to an ordinance, but they'll also come here. Yeah.
I don't think ordinance referred to anything to us that I know of. And I was going,
Right.
Go ahead.
It's a problem with going to so many meetings.
Yes, and PRC we've got right here
Right,
below.
yep.
Has anybody been, I went to this property today. Has anybody else been over there yet?
Which one?
Scott Hill.
4220 County Road 16.
Yeah.
So I took a few pictures that I can pass around if people want to see anything. If you could pull it up, Kimberly.
On Encore.
No, Encore's not really, I mean, you can.
The
but-
site plan?
Do you want to
Just
go
the
to the
site plan.
drive? Yeah.
It's number 45. So,
You might want to rotate that.
yeah,
there,
it's
yeah.
really, well, it's hard. I did not particularly enjoy the site plan myself.
No.
But feel free to pass this around. If you go forward, there's a couple of pictures, but this is the actual location that
I'm
they're
familiar.
building, so we go back there.
Here,
It's
do you
basically,
want to see the picture? Oh, pictures.
it's basically the house is on the lakeside. It's that sort of stone 70s style house, if you're familiar with it, right before Tishner Point. And they're currently parking a car in a grassy area that they've got a driveway up to across the street. It's pretty much grass surrounded by some, I believe they are, they looked, at least to me, like they might be black walnuts, because they've got that kind of a leaf on it, but you probably know better than me, Eric.
Probably be if you pulled up the pictometry so we could see
Yeah,
the
sorry.
aerial, that would be helpful.
Have you been over there, Sean?
Mhm.
No, okay. Kimberly, do you want to see one of these?
That's okay. we're good.
Um,
I'll get distracted.
my biggest concern in walking it, I mean, obviously they're parking cars there. It seems like a place where they would be parking cars. They need the car parking. My biggest concern was
If you just hit
the
the
slope.
pictometry.
It's kind of steep.
It's very steep. Did everyone read
I'm
my
gonna let
zoning
you-
law
You're
determination?
more familiar with driving on
On
that.
this one?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see it. Where-
Oh,
Did you send it to us?
it's in the
Or
folder.
was it
Yeah.
already in the file?
It was in the file.
I did
Oh,
not.
geez.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's,
Why did we go back? Oh, and we also went back in time. I love when that happens. 2006. All right.
Just a
Okay.
group of time travelers here.
Where am I?
You're not on the house.
That is
we're
not
talking
the right
about.
house.
Find Tishner Point and go north. There you go, keep going. Oh, no, wait, no, that's no,
No.
south.
No,
South,
just-
right in there.
Just
Zoom in a little
zoom
bit.
in more and you'll find it. It's just.
Find yeah, now go north. I think you're too far south.
Let me open this. up
It's
a
just
little bit.
north of Tishner, just south of Lake Hill.
These are some interesting layouts.
Yeah, this is, all right, I'm not having good luck today.
I
Right.
gave it to you because I was like.
Wait a second.
No, I
It's
can
up.
go north a little
Yeah,
bit.
I'm too far south.
If we stop, that
There you are.
house
Isn't it
is
here?
it's right in there, yeah.
Yep.
Sits right on the
It's right in
water.
there. That house with the square roof there,
This
that's the
one,
house
this
that
one.
it belongs to.
All right.
Mhm.
So you can see it's mostly grass up there, which is what, Eric, I don't know if you could tell here, but that's
It's hard to see the
That's this one
angle
too.
here.
mostly
So-
grass and it's definitely visible from the lake.
So my determination was pretty significant in that we prohibit development on steep slopes 18%. So let me just read this. Because the applicant is gonna need some variances.
More variances.
Yep, the property is located in a steep slope protection area. Because there are slopes at 18%, the site is further categorized as moderately steep. The applicant is proposing 7,700 square feet of disturbance within the steep slope protection area, which is prohibited on moderately steep slopes if installation of an accessory structure requires greater than 4,000 square feet of disturbance within the steep slope protection area. So it basically prohibits this. And then the front setback for the garage is proposed at 20 feet when 60 feet is required. Now, I think that they got the variance before the steep slope protection area because they had a prior
They got it in
variance.
2014.
Yeah, so they got an original setback, but there was nothing ever addressed about the steep slopes. So they will need relief from Chapter 220-8D1B3, which prohibits accessory structures that require greater than 4,000 square feet of land disturbance, and a 40-foot front setback variance. So that was my determination.
How does that work when they have a variance from 2014?
It has to be the exact plan. So variances do run with the land if the plan is the exact same plan.
So this one didn't have like, if not completed within a year sort of thing on?
That is a new condition. So that is a
Ah,
new thing that the
okay.
zoning board has been doing since the past, I don't
Wonderful.
even know how many years, 3 or 4. But yeah, but this variance does not run because the plans have changed. So,
Oh, so. okay.
right, so it was a 31-foot variance. Now it's changed to
They've changed it.
40. What did I say, 40?
You said 40.
Yeah.
What section of the code did you reference, Shauna?
220-8D1B3.
In case anyone's wondering.
In case you all
sure
wonder.
got all the letters and
Right,
numbers
where
in
I
there?
dug that one out of.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we actually figured out, we had to figure out the slope. The percent slope is about 18%.
Mhm.
Most of that disturbed area is 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I think it says that on the site plan. This percentage.
yeah, but the disturbance,
The disturbance is
Was
greater
70,
than
it's
is
greater
allowed
than-
by this
mhm.
particular section of code now.
yes.
Is that all driveway in front of it too?
Yes,
Mhm.
Okay.
but it's
Yeah,
at the
we didn't do
road.
that.
It's like at the road, you know, it's like building
Yeah, but
into
it's
it.
She said it was on
really
the site.
steep there.
It's
I mean, the
steeper.
I
current
don't know what
driveway,
Wow, it's
I
right
was walking up the current driveway and that was not fun.
here.
No.
Oh, yep, there.
But let me put it this way, that current driveway would not be usable in snow because it's that steep.
Mhm.
Sounds dangerous.
So they would have to use the driveway, at some point, they'd have to level.
Right.
I've got over 800 square feet of land. They'd have to terrace or level it and find some way to keep the
Or
slope
sink
on
in
each
the
side
garage.
immediately
Into-
adjacent
right.
from falling. So they'd have to build some kind of a break wall, at least connected to the driveway, so soil doesn't sweep down around the garage into the driveway.
Right.
So it really affects a larger area than just the square footage of the garage.
Right, which is, I think, obviously why the disturbance is significant.
Yeah.
So I don't understand on their, when I was there, so the part between, looking at the topo map there,
Yeah,
the part between Westlake Road and where they've got that garage is where the steepest slope is. But that is showing it almost flat right next to the driveway coming in there, which I don't know how that's happening. Are they taking out all the trees? Do we know? Or, I mean,
are you talking at the apron?
well, I'm talking about
Here?
like from walking it, the steepest part in what I saw is here. This is where it's very, very steep. It's right along this part. And then it levels out a little bit up here.
Hmm.
I'm just wondering why these topos are getting wider here when I would think they would be closer together here than,
I'm gonna see where
because this right here,
oh, sorry,
sorry,
go ahead. That's
this
just a different
right
view.
here is really steep right in here. That's where it's really, really steep. And then it's kind of a slow little grade there.
I'm gonna turn on the slope so we can see them.
I mean, you can see from this picture. It's
Oh, I
fairly
know.
flat up here and then steep, 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 steep,
Mhm.
steep. Here, Kimberly.
You know, if you want to send these to me,
Yeah, I can.
I can put them on the board site there.
All right, so here's the
You can go,
slope.
there's a couple more if you want to go. I don't remember which way you have to go.
Does red mean?
Are you seeing the screen, Megan?
I am seeing a,
Red.
yes,
Okay, so
yes, red.
red is 16
slope.
30.
Thank you.
So there is a flat spot.
Up above the road.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
but it's
that's
small. Yeah. So
Yeah.
most of this site is 18 to, or 16 to 30.
I mean, this is, well, there, you can see it best right there. It's, when you're up here, it's fairly flat. And then coming, this part where they've got the driveway coming in here, it's really steep. So I'm just wondering what they're planning on moving. They must be planning on taking out all the trees and just completely rearranging the slope of the land.
Well, they won't hold the slope then.
That's my concern.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's got plenty of room to build, but it's surrounded by some nice mature trees, so.
I have to put a considerable break wall behind the garage or really reinforce that garage.
This is also below lakes, what is that, Lake Hill? Drive?
Yeah, it
It's
is.
under that,
Okay.
so they've definitely got a lot of disturbance above them. Well, I guess above them is the way to put it.
Right.
Yeah, they need a big retaining.
Are they at all worried about how much like downward flooding will happen as water travels down this slope into like their slightly flattened areas? Wouldn't it collect there more if they tried to flatten or level anything there?
We have recommendations.
Yeah, what are the boards? Are there any recommendations?
Clearly against code. So, goes there for a reason. Recommend taking a stand again, and saying no.
Hey, everyone. Sorry, I've been on.
Hi,
Hi,
Justin.
Dustin.
I mean, I think the, there's buildable there for sure that is flat. I just don't know. Is that a 3-car garage wide driveway that they've got there?
It's 36 feet wide, the garage,
So the driveway is probably
and the
40.
driveway, I would say
Can you
45.
bring plans in? Do you have any plans?
I have the whole,
And,
there's also a, Megan, I was just checking the plans, there's a culvert, a 12-inch storm drain there, so that will take,
Okay.
that's gonna take a,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big, it'll take all the most, I don't wanna say all, but it'll manage the stormwater. I don't. You mean a rendering,
Yeah.
Pat?
I know,
I think there
yeah,
was
he
a-
wanted to bring his own plans in, so. And I know he had renderings.
I have old renderings
Yeah,
from
they're
before.
from 2014 probably.
Yeah, it's a 3-bay. If that's the same one he wants to use.
What, what was the lot coverage, the overall lot coverage?
It should be on the first
Yeah,
page
let me
of
look.
that plan.
The lot coverage is 23, proposed 23. 25 is
There's the chart.
so 16.4 existing, it goes up to 23, which is your garage.
Two lots, or is this combined?
It's one
with the-
lot.
With the
Mhm.
lakefront?
Yep.
property?
Yep.
So the house and the garage together are 23?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm. Yep. The house is small, footprint, 1,100 square feet.
Not a lot of
Mm-mm.
space over there. And the garage has living space, this looks like above?
It can't, so that would have to be non-living space. Storage. Because then you can connect.
That's one of the-
Yeah, Chris
So
would make
if
sure
his-
it wasn't.
If his garage was
Habitable.
smaller, would it be any less of a problem?
Well, I think the key would be to get it below the 4,000 square feet of disturbance.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure you could really, how you could do that.
Well, that's why I'm asking about what we saw with that rendering of the sloping, because that's not what the current site sloping is from my eye anyway. So
Well,
I'm
you're
just
looking
wondering-
at finished grade. Were you looking at existing or proposed?
whatever
grade?
that was that was showing.
That's proposed grade.
Proposed grade, so that's why I think the disturbance must be coming in.
Yeah.
It must be completely degraded to get a.
They are. Well, you have to.
That's the disturbance.
That would make sense for the top of the line to me.
Yeah,
Different.
so I'm like, these are not what they are right now. So, I mean, I guess that's just my biggest concern is that you've got a, what is this, 40-foot
Well,
wide?
here, so here's existing grade, so you can see them here. It's sometimes better to look at the actual paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can
So
see
you
the
can see
changes.
the-
These are proposed, yeah.
So my biggest concern would just be the highway leading into the lake here. That's my biggest concern. That wide of a driveway directly aimed at their house and lake.
Well, I mean, you can't assume that it's gonna go off site. I mean, that's why these inverts are here to catch it. So, you know, we have to assume right now that everything will work as designed and that, you know, you can't release more water than, you know, can't be, or post can't be more than pre-construction, so. But I mean, this is,
And the removal of the trees that's
Mhm.
obviously gonna have to happen. Justin, do you have any thoughts? Or Megan?
Can you hear me okay? Sorry.
Yes, we can.
Okay, on top of everything else, my computer decided to go on the fritz too, so it's not going well. on my end. I'm all set. I didn't really have any big comments on that.
Neither do I. I'm intrigued, as you all are, about how this is gonna work.
So what did you want to give as recommendations to the planning board?
Or is this?
it's going to
carrying-
zoning board.
Or the zoning board?
Mhm. Yep. first.
I mean, I wouldn't like all the trees removed, honestly, because that on a steep slope, you need as much root structure as possible to help with preventing erosion and everything.
So minimize tree removal.
Yep.
Preserve slope.
Eric, any other thoughts on it?
As I said it, if I'm hearing the code right, it's far from in compliance to the code. Code's there for a reason. This is a fairly steep slope. And I'm just imagining, okay, you know, the old outlook, okay, that if this once, then next one, and how many garages can we fit on that steep slope?
So you're saying it's a bad precedent to set?
Yes. At the very least, a smaller garage with a smaller footprint.
I'd second that.
I was also wondering if there was a way to mitigate the asphalt with a more permeable surface.
So recommend smaller
Porous
garage.
pavement.
Potentially, I mean,
Possibly.
just given its location, it's a very
And driveway.
delicate location.
Recommend permeable surface.
Mitigate the impact of driveway with alternative, yeah, surface.
What do they propose? Does it say concrete, something? What does it say there? Proposed what? What's the proposed substance for the driveway?
Oh, I can actually look there.
I thought it said the word
It
concrete.
says bituminous concrete driveway.
Bituminous
Yes.
concrete.
Mhm.
And it is visible from the lake, so.
I would suggest replanting the slope with native trees of a sizable caliber.
Mhm.
Just curious to see if there was a retaining wall plan, but
That's what I was
there's
wondering
not.
too. Doesn't
Is
look
there,
like
is there, what do we have on the, detailed page?
I didn't see one.
Okay.
there are some trees at the rear of the property as well. Trees, I'm not sure if they're planning to disturb those too.
I don't think they want to disturb where the building gets started.
So, yeah.
Mhm.
There would be no need to go any farther. Because you're all that block all the way, that going all the way around it is a disturbance. The rest going upland more is not gonna be disturbed.
Well, they're gonna have to next to the driveway there because that's not the current slope that I'm witnessing. I mean, and what you were showing on the map, they're changing the slope there.
Mhm.
They're proposing to use a slope stabilization mat. I'm not sure where that is. So it looks like it's almost like it pins down the earth.
Permanent thing or during
During construction, but I think it grows. Almost like sod, but yeah.
So that's what they're,
Yeah, steeper slopes of steeper. Oh, 3-to-1 slopes or steeper shall be stabilized with North American green erosion control blankets. Or approve equal and steep slope seed mix. Slope stabilization materials shall be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's recommendation. I think it's all detached. Yep. all of the proposed erosion mat is all of the hatching. Yep. Yep, all of it, everything here. Lot.
Is this still their lot back
Yeah.
here? There's a lot in here.
So it's a
No,
seed,
it goes all
seed
the way
net?
down.
Is that what
It's
that
like a
is?
seed, yeah.
Okay, here's the shed. Let me see.
Do they know how long construction would go on for? Because that'd be quite an eyesore on the, near the lake.
I don't know.
So judging by this being the shed and my picture here, are a number of mature trees behind the shed in this area that will not have any disturbance whatsoever. So they're basically disturbing the area where the car is. in
Just
front
like
of the
what's
shed.
at the road and.
Mhm.
Kimberly, sorry, Megan.
Yeah, nothing behind the shed.
Nothing behind the shed. Okay. It basically is. So they're gonna lose these two mature, looks like they only really lose two mature, probably black walnut trees.
And that's not as bad as I originally assumed.
As long as they're keeping some of the ones to the, so maybe can you make a note, back where we were talking about preserving the trees? They have a number of mature trees along the south edge of the property, which are probably the ones that we would wanna minimize the disturbance of. Because they're gonna have to take out the two
So
By the road.
retain mature trees.
to the south. And obviously to the west of the
West.
property, but they're not building that in that area at this point. That also would be next, there's a home quite close to the property there too, which the trees would help with a little bit of shielding.
So you said that this would be visible from the lake.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm standing basically on the garage and that's the lake, so.
So they should have a rendering of what it would look like from the
Yeah.
lake.
Yep. I'm gonna ask them if they're gonna use the old rendering or not. Too, it's a note to me.
Any other concerns, anybody?
Smaller would be better.
I had one question, I guess, for when the construction goes on. I mean, for the trucks that are gonna be going in and out of there, do they have a plan in place, I guess, for that, for when they're cutting it and when they're removing piles? Because it doesn't look like they're stockpiling anything just for traffic flow.
You probably have to truck it out. I guess once it gets approved, then you deal with that sort of thing.
Okay.
I would guess. Whoever the contractor will be.
Okay, are we good? Kimberly, you have what you need?
I have what I need.
Okay, well, let's move on then. The next section is the old business. Kimberly, you did the July ECB newsletter page.
Yep.
And Gary, I believe, offered to do one on hungry deer for August.
Yeah,
Did.
Mm-hmm,
that sounds
Um,
interesting.
it does.
For September, I think, let's leave that for now because when we get to new business, Kimberly and I were discussing a potential idea for an event coming up in the fall. So we might want to make a discussion of that in September for the newsletter. Any other thoughts on newsletter articles?
I got a lake magazine that deals with lakes across our country, and there's an article about electric boats.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Nice.
That's not
So
even
that
something I,
might be something interesting about since so many things are going that
Yeah.
route,
Yeah.
maybe we'd want to hear about boats.
Electric boats.
Makes sense. There's
Wow.
electric bikes.
So that
and
means if
electric
I
cars and-
volunteer that little tidbit, I have to write it.
That would be yours now.
That's what happens.
You could probably just copy paste if you
Well,
get
yeah.
permission from that.
Is that September then?
I would.
Oh,
let's
leave
do
that
September for now.
That's a suggestion
Um,
anyway.
But that's not bad. That actually might be a good one though, to
It
put
might be an
in
interesting
like
read.
January or something, when people are buying boats or
Yeah.
thinking about boats for the next year.
We can
kind
put
of
that
thing.
on for a
That's
potential
cool.
topic.
Possibility.
I love that idea though.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
why did we not think of that?
Cut down the
We
noise.
could have all made it
Yeah,
fortunate if we
wonder-
thought of
They
that.
don't have the zip that a regular,
Yeah.
you know, boat does.
You know where that would make a lot of sense for is like the, what do you call it, the jet skis. Cause they're, they're so
Mhm.
much smaller and require less
Yeah,
power.
electric jet skis.
Yeah,
That's.
and they're the most annoying
Electric
sound on
seems
the
to
whole
be the
lake.
way. Who knows what's gonna happen about batteries someday, but
Mhm. It's the charging stations on, in marinas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
So anyway, that's, all right.
Have we ever done a paper on eutrophication
Ooh,
of like the lake?
say that again?
Eutrophication.
I don't know what that is.
Me
Yeah,
neither.
what does that
It
mean?
is when a lot of nutrients are built up in a lake and it becomes nutrient rich, a lot of algae blooms, that kind of stuff.
You want to do that one, Megan?
I would be happy to write something eventually. I feel bad that you guys are all so busy typing away.
No, please, feel free.
Could be something different. I think that would be,
Mhm.
sounds intriguing.
In this winter, I'd be willing to do a piece on, there's a group of professors in Cornell that have created a series of climate change forecasts or models for the Finger Lakes, what that means. So enjoy your Riesling.
Yeah.
Enjoy it now. It makes for some good reading, but also some somewhat disturbing reading.
I was gonna say.
Sometimes when people apply these abstract theories, concepts, knowledge to what's familiar, things close to home, it may make them think twice.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I'd be willing to do a piece on that.
That would be great.
Making people think is a good thing.
Yeah.
We encourage that type of thing.
We
Okay.
also do, oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Has anyone ever done like spotlights on different environmental books and everything like that? That could be fun during the winter months, like winter reading or something.
Might also be fun
Oh, winter
for social
reading.
media. Have spotlights on books.
Mhm.
That would be a great thing for there.
Yeah, speaking of social media, we need to update our site on the sub-site or whatever it would be called on the town website. It hasn't been updated in a couple of years. Still got minutes from a couple of years ago.
On
and
the sub-site?
On our site for the ECB, our page for the ECB needs an update. So
Are you talking about?
Which one do
anything
you mean?
if you go to the town, yeah, and just look up ECB, and at least the last time I saw it, it was looking fairly old.
Actually, I updated it last summer.
Yeah, it was looking like it was last time. Not that that's old, but it was just, they had minutes, yeah, all 2021 meetings. Oh, you've got 2022 in there now.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, then we're good. I just was
You're
noticing a lot of
talking
stuff from
some of this?
2020.
Yeah, I
and
could change that. I don't think I've changed that.
I don't think it was anything big, just little bits and pieces and
Did this one.
I love that.
so cute.
I did those.
Okay, good. So
I
it
wanna
looks like
highlight
you've been
this
doing a couple things.
Website. I
on it,
want
so
to send this to everybody. I send so many people here.
Yeah, it's a great little.
What we
site.
did was, all of this content was all like just in this
Yeah.
page.
Mhm, mhm,
So what we
I
did
know,
was
it's
we
so good.
separated it off and it makes this page actually
Mhm.
easier to read, so. But if you have articles or content or, Gary usually gives me the little protection news blurb.
mhm.
And so he writes that and I usually change that quarterly.
Thanks for doing this. Yeah, I hadn't looked at it in a couple months, but I noticed something that was just, it was all 2021 last time I looked at it,
Okay.
but obviously you've done something since then. So.
Yeah, I think you're talking these, I will update those.
Yeah, it wasn't anything big, just little things like
Yeah.
that. Okay, so budget discussion for 2022. Just real quick before we get into the budget discussion, we had, there is a kiosk going up at Ononda, and we were I think a few people had asked me if that was coming from it's being split $600, $300 coming from ECB for that kiosk. That was all from last year's budget, so that's not impacting this year's budget. When I talked to Kate, we have currently spent out of the 2022 budget, we spent just under $200. We spent $191.68, which is for the tree that we purchased. So we have remaining just over $1,000 in our budget. We have $1,008.32 remaining for the rest of this year, which we should spend.
Yes.
Kimberly and I were talking, and this is what I was referring to earlier, about it's probably time for us to have another event, an informational event for the town. And let me give these to all of you as well. And I apologize for the folks that are not floating around in person. But we have, this is our goals for the year that was adopted by Rezo. I apologize for my highlighting and the goals in there too, but you can find it in the annual report from last year. Actually, I don't know, Kimberly, you might be able to pull it. I don't know if you have time, but you might be able to pull it up from last year's, the 2021 annual report.
Where would that be?
It was actually, I think it's
It was
right on the
adopted by-
website.
Is it on the website? Good.
Yep.
Yes, okay, so thank
Maybe
you.
not.
All right, well,
Well,
it's okay.
okay, so let's update that.
I don't know where it lives.
But there's several things in here, but one of the things that is in here is public education and outreach. The ECB continues its mandate in public education and outreach to inform residents of the natural resource protection issues. 2021 continued to be a challenging year. The ECB is intended to have a rain barrel booth at Halloween at Ononda, but that didn't happen. We will continue to pursue a rain barrel project for the public in 2022. We've reached out to the ecology department at CA and working to partner with students to identify and eradicate invasive species. Starting with Tree of Heaven at Sandhill. Educational outreach has been passive through the ECB on the town website. We've also been working on it. We need to be working on a list of appropriate native species that homeowners and developers can access and plant on their property. But one of the things that I was thinking, and Kimberly was thinking too, is we need to have certainly a rain barrel workshop. And I think we can combine together rain barrel workshop, an invasive species discussion, of lake-friendly land ownership for farms and residents, and maybe just spend some of that budget on an event in, Kimberly and I were thinking mid-October, maybe post-harvest season, pre-holiday season kind of period. It's not as ideal for,
Right.
not as ideal for homeowners time-wise for lake-friendly lawn care, but it just to, to try and capture as many people as possible and see if we can kind of advertise and all sort of staff that. So I was wondering, first of all, if people thought that was a good idea, what you'd like to see in that, if we did that, and then maybe if that's something people like, maybe we can even get down to nailing down a date so that we can start planning a location and everything else, So what do you guys think?
I would love that, and I would love to help sit at that booth.
Yeah,
I was thinking like we could invite people in to talk about different topics. So people could come in and sit in person, or they could view via Zoom. So we could really, actually it would be a worldwide, availability, but, oh no, the US.
Yes,
Ours
just
was
the
only
US. Sorry, can't have.
But it would be for anyone. So neighboring communities too.
Would you have it like Ononda?
Here,
Would you have it?
Well,
here.
we
We could
can't
do it.
Zoom from Ononda.
Oh,
That's
Zoom,
the
right.
problem.
We could do it in many different places. It could be here, it could be at outhouse. I think we can
Could
do
be
it from outhouse
outhouse.
as
If you
well.
did assembly of rain barrels, though, you'd need kind of a
Outdoor location.
But maybe
Well,
that
highway
could be the
barn.
highway,
Yeah, we could do the highway barn
out
too.
there or something maybe.
and I know there's different like native plant vendors around, we could probably invite them to talk.
Fall planting too, maybe
Fall
we can have
planting.
some
That's a
Oh,
great
right.
idea.
samples or something,
That's right.
yeah.
We could have things like.
Oh, is that when you plant bulbs? Right? in
Oh,
the
yeah.
fall?
I plant all my trees in the fall,
Yeah, it's the
Bulbs
best
and
time to plant
yeah.
trees.
Mhm.
It's actually a good time to plant grass too.
perennials.
So,
So basically all the stuff you wanna
and
come up
cover
for
crops.
next year.
Mhm.
They know more than we do, the people that are planting cover crops. So,
Yeah,
I'd like to discuss lake friendly lawn care.
Hmm.
Have
that sounds
somebody,
good.
Mhm.
I have somebody there from the watershed. I'd like to also discuss, we talked, and I meant to mention this again to Doug today, but Kimberly has basically agreed. I don't know if I could, to sort of take over. We've lost the person that was in charge of our compost project here at the town. And
Oh,
Kimberly's
Caitlin.
sort of, we're trying to work out some details, but Kimberly's kind of agreed to take over shepherding that through and being a contact person at the town for the composting projects. So,
If you need any help, I would love to help. I did a lot of
We need to
composting.
stop
with this-
asking him to do everything.
mhm. Yep. So Kimberly has made the mistake of being a competent person willing to help, and as a result.
Stop being so efficient and
Hey, a gold
effective
plaque is
and-
coming your way.
Actually, it's nice work, 'cause,
It is nice.
you know,
Nice to be
You
involved.
do
there's
nice work.
meaningful stuff that
It
comes
is.
out of it. so.
Sure does.
So does the compost project, yeah, would you act as a consultant or?
So we currently have the availability for people to get back compost bags, and we even had tins. I don't know if
Yeah,
we still
we
have
had
any
the
more of the little
little-
tins.
Mhm.
For
I
people
don't
to
know if we
get.
have any more of those.
That's, but it was all
Probably.
being
I know
organized
nothing
out of
about the
the
programs.
highway office, and the person who had organized it is no longer with the town.
Hmm.
So we basically still have everything for it and the availability to do it. We just don't have, other than you can stop into the clerk's office and, maybe ask about it at this point.
I think she has some.
She has some, but there's nobody who's actively saying, here's what we have and here's what's available. And like, it'd be nice if somebody could go to like an event like this or a Rotary Club or something.
Sure.
Write a letter for the newsletter, just something, just
Yeah.
occasional touch points on it to help inform people that it's there and how it works. And, instead of just putting it on top of the clerks, if somebody calls and has questions about how this works, what do I put in here, where does it go, that could be something that we could have a point person for on it. So I don't think it's gonna take a ton of your time, Kimberly. I think it's just gonna be a composting, that's this person kind of, point in this
Yeah.
direction kind of thing. So,
So, so if we had it in the highway barn
mhm,
and we had several booths with these interests per
Yeah.
table, like when we had the open house for when the highway barn first opened,
mhm,
there was a whole bunch of people
Yeah.
displaying things, but it could just be like an ECB, and just a few different venues
yeah,
and set up tables and have sort of.
and we could,
Something like that, maybe.
if we still had money left, we could also purchase trees for seedlings if we wanted to do that too.
Or if you needed it for honorariums for people to come and talk. So.
Any of the above,
Mhm.
Mhm.
we can figure that out. So,
but,
Sorry, did you guys possibly bring up having Finger Lakes Prism at one
That
of those
would be
tables?
great.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yep.
Like an update on kind of where things are at the end of the season.
yeah.
I hear a little helper in the background.
We like helper.
Yeah, Evelyn is here with me, my daughter. Sorry, I'm
No, that's
Hi,
fine.
Evelyn.
multitask.
Don't ever apologize
No,
for cute adorable
seriously.
children, especially when you're working for free from home.
But I was thinking maybe like rain garden maintenance.
Okay.
Have
That's
somebody come in
great.
and talk about that,
A lot of people put them in because they have to, but that's it.
but that's it.
Or yeah, they're in when they move in and they have no idea
What to
when
do
they
with them.
mow them down
Yeah.
that they've just destroyed
All right.
their rain garden.
That's a great idea. Just talking to my cousin who recently built a house and asking me, what do I do with this?
Right.
Yeah,
Mm.
that'd be a good one for Edith.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can you do me a favor, Kimberly? We're gonna have a million ideas about this. Outside of the minutes, can you do a separate email to everybody indicating we're gonna do this and let's find a day? I'll work with Jim Fletcher, because I think
To-
you're right, the
yeah,
highway garage. is
To
probably
the
best.
ECB,
Yeah, to the
Okay.
ECB, saying this is something we're gonna do. And what does what are everyone's priorities? These are the points that came up so far was, I mean, we're gonna need somebody to agree to be part of like a promotional group for it, somebody to help book people for it. And then we are all gonna kind of have to agree on content for it as well and a date. So, but I think our date's gonna probably be, if we're using the highway garage, I think our date's going to be very much determined by Jim Fletcher.
Yeah.
So I will see if that is a time that would work in October somewhere for him and staying away from the holiday weekend there, whatever we're calling that holiday now. So, in
Would we want to
October.
do it on a night that the facility is open? Like a Wednesday?
Like a Wednesday evening?
Is that too much or is that a good,
Jim,
Way to
again, I'm gonna
capture,
have to
yeah.
ask Jim, so.
You know,
that might be
I had
nice.
been thinking a Saturday, so you could have different people come and talk and
Mhm.
kind of make it a day long, so you have people talking like 45-minute little blocks and stuff like that. So you could, have Kevin Mulvaney come and, give some like
Mhm.
lake friendly stuff and just,
Like a run it all Saturday morning, like run it all morning.
Well,
kind of thing, while
Saturdays,
the dump
the
is
dump is
The
open.
dump is
open.
open.
Yeah.
Saturdays and
Mhm.
Sundays, the dump is open, so.
Hmm.
and you could still. have-
Promotion wise, if we,
Yeah.
I'm offering up Ryan's for posters.
Oh, great, thank you.
So that we can do. I can convince the boss.
I think
Oh,
so.
I thought she was gonna say we could have wine tasting.
No, we're not. getting wine.
No, sadly, I don't think we can fund the liquor at
There
the
might be
event. That
some-
probably wouldn't be good.
19-year-olds that we want to have there too. So. Anyway, okay, so yeah, Kimberly, if you can send
Sure.
out an email and
I will do
hopefully we
that.
can kind of organize ourselves a little bit by email on what we would like to have it part of it. And just, I think, and how many booths and what have you, and I'll talk to Jim about availability over there if that's even possible. If not, we could probably figure something out over here too. So I mean, this little space here, you'd be amazed of the little outdoor stuff that you can do just
Oh, I
sitting
was
right
gonna
over
say, there's a
here.
lot of
Yeah.
open space
Yeah.
right on
Yeah.
the lawn.
Mhm. And we have about $1,000 to spend, so I think we need to figure out what space we're gonna need first, because obviously if we were here, we want like a tent or
Yeah,
something probably,
rent a
so.
tent. Yeah.
So, and I don't think the town has anything like that, so,
We don't.
which we really probably should.
Well, we have pavilions and we like to use our parks.
Pavilions, yeah, which is another option too, but was, again, zooming is, Anyway, all right, so
Could always
there,
be in more than one location.
yeah, that's true too. We can, all discussions we can have, but we need to get, if we're gonna do it in October, we need to have some ideas ready for August, and then we can really nail this down in August on the agenda.
Mhm.
And then use September to really promote the event, so.
Mhm.
And then obviously, hopefully, all of us can be there whenever it ends up being booked, if possible, so. Okay, so I gave out to everybody that's in person, again, sorry to you two who are not in person, our goals for the year. This from the strategic plan here, and then the ECB related goals from the comprehensive plan, which you can actually probably pull up the comp plan pretty easily, I would imagine, if you go to that. It's starting on, when you find it somewhere, probably not in there, I don't know, it's 2020 comp plan, but I would just go back
If
to
you
the,
search the main page.
yeah, go back to there and look for the comp plan, and then you're gonna wanna go to page 108 is the page on the page, but probably not the page in the electronic document, so. But it's natural resources under, it's, the section is called Vision and Goals, section 5. So. gonna be way, yeah, the most recent, yeah, that one. So go to,
It's gonna-
yeah, it'll take a while. And you're gonna go to section 5, vision and goals and natural resources is where we're starting. So I just wanted to take a moment to go through and look at, there's various goals from the comp plan that indicate the ECB is the primary responsible entity for those goals. And I wanted to touch base with everybody on how we thought we were doing, what more we can do. Yeah, try page 109 in the bottom corner. There you go. Yeah, you're getting right there. Okay, so if you see this, just for folks that aren't as familiar with the comp plan, you can see on the left-hand side there, it's indicating a goal. The importance is indicating if it's a primary or secondary importance or ongoing. And then the responsible entity section there, there's the primarily responsible entity and the secondarily responsible entity. Pretty much all of these we are on. And the ones that I'm most concerned about are the ones that are primary responsible entity. So I would like us as a committee to really help make sure that we're doing what the comp plan would like us to be doing. So I can give everybody a moment to kind of go through and check this out. And see what thought they have. I know the first section there, it says work on organizations to improve biodiversity and efforts against invasive species. I think the new cemetery committee is going to help with that a little bit. And the acquisition of a bucket truck that we have now so that we can trim some of those invasive species that are in our cemeteries. I think we've also, the town board has purchased a new property near McJanet Park, which we've talked about before, which could be another place where we can also work on improving biodiversity and efforts against invasive species. Anybody have any other areas that we've worked to improve this or something else that we need to be doing?
We've commented on, the tree team is doing their recommended native species list. At some point, I'm guessing we'll see that as well. We probably can make suggestions or whatever, but
That's kind of circulating and people are adding and
Yep.
editing and it's kind of a work in progress, but we'd like to eventually get that out to builders and homeowners. Especially
Yeah.
homeowners that are having a build done.
I would honestly like to see something like that if we have the money and we can pull it from ECB if we want to. I would like to see something like that mailed with water bills. So that, because that, people see the newsletters, you know, a
Right.
couple thousand people, but everybody sees their water bill.
you're talking though, that's gonna be multi-pages, right?
If
Yeah,
we
but
can
at
get
least a
to a
little
single,
flyer.
You're
And for more
gonna,
information,
a single, like,
if we can get it to a double-sided one page.
is
Yeah.
that what you're talking about?
yeah, and then
Okay,
direct them to maybe an online site for more information.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, if we can get it down to a one page so that it's not adding to the weight too much of the water
Yeah.
bill mailing and just the
Yeah.
already in there. We can ask and see how much that would cost, but I would love to see if you can just have a, hey, quick paragraph, this is why native species are important, this is what they do for our environment.
Yeah,
List, you know, the top, you know, most commonly used ones or something like that. And then, like you said, for more information or more detail, go to X,
yeah,
Y, Z
you
on
can
the
have a more
website.
complete document
Yeah.
someplace else.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I would
Yeah.
indicate some of them, some of the most commonly used
right,
ones.
right away.
Mhm.
So it's really two pieces, you know, it's kind of that little flyer to hook people and then
Yeah,
the
Which
more
is also
complete guide.
something we could give out at events,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
when we do an event.
right, something to pique their interest and, yeah,
Mhm.
I know I had offered to Edith if they need help laying that out, creating the actual document once you have the info.
Mhm.
I'd be happy to do that.
okay, yeah, I'll let them know. They're kind of all over the place right now.
Well, and it's also something that I would imagine the town board would at some point want to have a reso where adopting here's recommended tree plantings for our town, you know, obviously
Exactly.
nothing being required, you know, like
Right,
you can't
right.
plant any Japanese cherry trees in the town, nothing like that. But something that's a recommended, you know,
Mhm.
list, because that will be easily searchable in perpetuity if it's passed
Yeah.
and there is a reso too. So
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Although, that said, there are state invasive species lists and, you know, we should have rules about not planting those,
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
if we don't already,
yeah, that's a good point. I can bring it up at ordinance if you'd like.
if we're not already covered under, county or state regulations.
And that changes too as the industry changes, the nursery industry. I think it's the Japanese barberry that now they've been able to create a hybrid that's non-reproducing. It's a terminal plant, so they're now legal again.
The deer generally leave those barberries alone. I've been trying to find some, they're hard to find.
Not now, they're being.
They're around,
Yeah.
good.
We all have great childhood memories of those.
Yes.
Reaching for the ball that's.
In the barberry bush. Yeah.
Mine was stinging metal. but-
So the next one that has as the primary and responsible entity is the continued implementation of the 2018 Open Space Master Plan and the NRI, which I was just handing around. So keep that in your mind. Any thoughts on that one?
The conservation easement or the open space conservation committee is now up and going and
Yeah,
we're
That's
kind of
helpful,
in
yeah.
we're in the process of learning and Sarah's doing a great job with educating us at the moment, but we'd like to be we'd like to be productive in the future as we learn. So
Okay.
perhaps another board can be added to this, in time, or another committee or group. We're a group. Yes, a group.
The other question I had, so if you look at the one right underneath that says update the land cover mapping used for the 2018 open space plan. I'm not familiar with what that is. So I don't know if I missed something here. Does anybody know what that's referring to? The land.
it's the
cover mapping?
master plan, open space master plan, which
All
have you,
maps are-
you haven't seen that?
I have, but I'm
Okay.
just wondering what they want for updating the land, just meaning just continual
Probably a
updates of,
That's-
when
it has
things
been
are
done,
built,
has it not,
or-
from when Barb was helping doing all those.
I don't
maps
know if
and-
it's when, no, I think the 2018, well, many of these are all 2018.
yeah.
So
They're
like this
all,
one,
like, I know the silver maple, we talked about updating that map because that's not accurate, the silver maple forest.
I think
Um,
Doug said that this was based off of like a 2002 survey or
Yep,
something like
yep.
that. So the data underneath is actually older.
Yeah, Sarah and I have started to go in a list of maps that need updating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it does say that right here.
Yeah,
Land cover mapping.
yep. Oh, you remembered it. Yep.
Wow.
I sit in a lot of meetings.
See, this is why you end up doing too much stuff. from the-
You know how you said Chuck was part of all the meetings? I was like, you should put your part. You are like the,
connection.
Mm-hmm,
Mhm.
absolutely.
So what do we need to do as an ECB with that? That's what I mean, if it's got us down as the primary entity. Is that?
I don't-
know if
I
we
think-
are the primary.
I don't think
entity
you
for
are. I
that.
think that staff is, Sarah and I are, we can, that's on our ongoing to-do list because and I say that actually sooner rather than later because we have money in the budget, our budget,
To do
my
that,
budget and
yeah.
hers so to do it this year.
And is that something Labella is hired to do as a consultant to update those maps?
Yeah.
All these maps, I know.
Mhm.
So just a quick question. How would they do this one?
Yeah. Yeah.
For example,
How would they update? Some of them I'm not sure can be updated
Yeah.
at this
because
point.
I believe they surveyed people to ask what was on their property.
The ag committee, you're saying?
No,
Or
the
you mean
town
two
had
of-
sent out like
Oh.
a survey,
Mhm.
and I believe that that's what this was based off of, if I'm remembering right from what Doug said. So that's a longer winded process.
Right. Also, many parcel boundaries have changed too.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I think that, I mean,
It's the problem
even from
with parcel
2018, and parcel boundaries, as the county updates them countywide every twice a year. So I'm sure that would be a nice, that would be a nice addition to have updated. parcels.
Okay, so support lake-friendly farmer and lake-friendly lawn care programs, that event that we're planning to put on will
Yep.
help do that. Educate the public, the next one, that will also help to do that. Creating a sustainability plan, that might be something to add to that event to as well.
Oh, to your, yep.
So would you mind sticking that in the notes? for that?
Sure, sure.
House, opportunities to reduce your household carbon footprint and create a sustainability plan.
Actually, there's a cool site that will tell you what your carbon footprint is and how many trees you would need to plant to offset it.
That's fun.
So I'm,
Remember that.
I'm carbon negative.
Do you remember the name of
You're
it?
carbon negative, you said?
I do not, I'd have to find that,
Okay,
but I can do that.
So
Oh, that'd be
encourage,
fun.
and then the last one we've got as primary is encourage planting and maintenance of trees on public and private lands. Well, we did already buy a tree for public lands here. But, and I think we're working with the cemetery committee, the tree team to do that already.
Yep.
The other two I wanted to bring up, which we listed here as a secondary, is the 1, 2, 3, 4th one down. Promote housing development, blah, blah, blah. But I noticed this section of revise ordinance as needed to achieve that goal, and also how that's also connected to again, ordinances, the second from the
Fourth one
bottom where
down.
it says explore local ordinances to protect wetlands and other sensitive resources. So both of those are talking about revising ordinance essentially to protect environmentally sensitive areas. And does anybody have any thoughts on ordinances that could be revised to protect environmentally sensitive areas?
Talking like stream setbacks.
I mean, we can always create ordinances, it's whether or not they're followed too is part of the problem. But I don't know if there's anything that we're missing or if anybody has any thoughts in that area that we could be working more with.
I think there's so many things that are running in tandem right now,
Mhm.
like Eric's group, the conservation
Mhm.
team, giving, because there's we have a lot of plans. We have a lot of really nice maps and a lot of really great suggestions, but we don't have a lot of really good options. And I think the PDRs and the TDRs and those are gonna be some nice options for tools, right? I think we have pretty strict ordinances right now.
Mhm.
I really do. I think the problem is
Following that.
following them.
Mhm.
I mean, our stream setback is significant. 100 feet is a lot,
Mhm.
but we keep granting those setback variances
Mhm.
Yeah.
over and over again.
Mhm. Well, and that
So-
goes back to the first page of this.
Yeah,
Where
with
one of the
the-
measurables is literally how many variances are granted for lot coverage, stream setback, and other environmental rules. I would like to task you, Shauna, if you wouldn't mind, with making a list of a measurable for that. How many have been granted, this year? Maybe,
Maybe we should go further back.
I mean, we can.
Jean
compare
has a
year over
log
year,
of
if that's-
variances
Yeah.
that she keeps has kept.
If that's something that you or someone on your team could help, just maybe look
If you go
year over
far-
year and see if they're
If you go
growing.
farther back, then you'll see
Yeah.
if there's a
Pattern.
trend.
Right.
That would be a
get
good
some
job for me.
longitudinal data, some.
Wouldn't it? I mean, like, that's
Great job,
a great,
Jane.
that's a
Yeah.
great, like, Geneseo geography
Mhm.
person, kid.
And I think it's important because we had a whole discussion about that, a meeting or two ago when you weren't here, where we were talking about it's frustrating when,
Yep, I read the minutes.
when
for that.
we're not necessarily granting ordinances and setting precedents that are not in keeping with, or excuse me, granting variances and setting precedents that are not in keeping with our goals
goals
and laws and code.
Mhm.
And there are times when there's a good reason for it,
Certainly.
but
Yeah.
there's gotta be a good reason for it, so
Mhm.
that's.
Or if it's like inches, it's like.
Exactly.
Right.
40-foot variance is different than a 2-foot variance by law. So,
Yeah.
especially when you're protecting a tree or something like that, so.
It'd be interesting to see the percentage of requests for a variance approved as well. If
Yes,
this many
Yeah.
were
that's,
requested,
you're right, that's the
this
more
many were
important part.
passed.
Mhm.
So not just that longitudinal data, but also about regarding what,
Yeah,
structures, garages, houses. It'd be really good to get and again, I'll help do it if if there's any way I can, because I think it's very important.
Mhm.
But we make these recommendations and they go up the ladder, and I must admit, I'm not locally a politically savvy person, but at some point, the rubber it's gotta meet the road.
Mhm.
And people have got to say, no, this is our code.
Mhm.
If we don't abide by it, why do we have it?
Why do we have it? Exactly.
Or and if it's deeply unpopular, then okay, change the code.
Mhm.
But the idea of
It
just kind
can't
of
be
going
deeply
through the
unpopular with
motions.
3 people who live on the same road. It's gotta be deeply unpopular with a tenant at large, so.
Right.
Right.
And for the ecosystems, I hate to sound all, well, no, I am green. Who speaks for them?
Yeah.
You can be a Lorax, it's okay.
Aw.
This whole committee is full of Loraxes.
That's great.
I'm very Lorax.
I forgot about the Laura.
I think it would also be great just to tabulate this stuff to further our points, like with the east side of the lake or other areas where these variances are concentrated, and just to bring it into focus a different way as to present, what we always run up against.
Yeah, well, and that's to your point, it's how many variances have been applied for versus how many are approved. And we need to be looking at specific things like stream setback and what lot coverage, I would say, and maybe the
Gradient.
RLD is.
I think the
area
RLD
too.
is a good place to start.
Yeah, I would start with there.
Yep.
And, I think that's. I don't know, I feel like every project has variances, like every
We
single
have that,
one.
we have one for a shed that has 4 variances in the lake, on the lake. That's a shed. I mean,
It'd just be a good thing to do. I'm trained as a history major, history teacher. So what's the context? Where we've been
Mhm.
before
Yes,
we map out
absolutely.
where we're going and how to get there.
Mhm.
I think that would be great. And again, if anyone needs help with that, anything I could do, just on my PC or here at the town hall, putting in hours, I would,
Okay.
Okay.
That would be
thank
fine
you,
to do.
Eric. I appreciate that. That would be great. So Eric's your new intern. I think I heard him volunteer for that.
It would be if I could be even a grad school or that would be a great.
I'm
that's
still
a
in grad
great
school.
project.
There you go. It's gonna be
That's right.
thesis. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to see that too. So,
I would be fascinated by that data.
Mhm.
so if you don't
I
mind,
think a
I'm
lot of
sorry
people-
to,
I think there could be some good grounds for us
Yep,
to
yep.
base some changes. I would think.
so I'm sorry to push us ahead a little bit here, but then if you flip to the page that says agriculture, it's page 107 on the bottom. If you don't mind adjusting that for our remote folks there, it says
107.
107 on the bottom. Sorry, I did them in order of where they showed up. There you go. That one, we're secondary on the ECB here, but a couple that I noticed that I was like, oh, we could actually really make a impact there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, strengthen the relationship with Cornell Cooperative Extension and benefit from their experience. I think we have some members who may not be in attendance today who have a great relationship
Mhm.
there as well. That we might be able to, I mean, obviously that event that we're planning on having, we could definitely invite Cornell Cooperative Extension to be there as well. And then the last one on this page, communicate with and educate residents regarding local ag operations and farmer interactions within the community. Again, that event I think would help address that as well. And I think we need to keep ag in mind.
I was just gonna
throughout
say,
that whole event.
keep the ag committee abreast of what's.
And I think offering like some PDR informational things at the event we're talking about,
Mhm,
that would be wonderful. So you could have like somebody from the land trust talk or
Mhm.
something.
mhm.
How about people who own and operate some of the farm stands in the area?
Mhm, that's a good point. too.
I'm always great to get their change from the car.
Yeah, me
To get,
too.
to get the place, I need to stop at the place at Middle Cheshire and
Yeah.
into it. That gentleman and his family do a great job. Is there a way that we could? I don't know what it looks like, but invite some in to just talk about what it's like to operate, what are the work
Mhm.
behind the scenes, what they offer, what they'd like to offer. I don't know.
I don't know if a lot of people know he has 3 giant greenhouses behind his house.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. He does a lot. Yeah.
I don't know if that's blurring any ethical distinctions, promoting a private business in a public place, but You know,
He
it
talks
is,
about
it is part of the mandates here.
being a small farmer, because
Mhm.
it's a small agricultural
is.
business.
Right.
So he could really talk from that sort of point of view.
Okay, and then the next page is 126. In
Next
the,
page.
if you
Oh, the
scroll
last.
down there, the last one. yeah.
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure, yep. So there weren't a lot that said ECB in here, but there's one that should say ECB, it doesn't, which is the third one down, says increase and continue efforts to divert waste from the landfill. Obviously, our connection with Kimberly on that with the composting is part of that. But that's something that is quite frankly, one of the most important things that we're gonna have as a community going forward, particularly because the landfill may or may not be closing in 2028, which is 5 years from now. So that is,
Wow.
we're gonna be getting to a point pretty soon, folks, where we are going to literally be paying as likely paying as residents for how much we dispose. So that's very likely coming our way. So we need to hit that from a soft angle first of, you know, here's ways to reduce
Education and-
education, and then when we're talking about building the new transfer station, which I don't know if you folks are aware, but we're building a new transfer station here. And we've been talking about putting in potentially scales. We might be weighing people's trash and charging by weight here. So depending on what happens with the landfill. So we may all hate the landfill, but it's been a very useful thing to have in our community and made our trash disposal very affordable. So that will probably be changing soon. So that's an important one. The other one is right underneath it. We're listed as a secondary is monitor the impact of extending infrastructure and farmland, open space and development within the town. And I just wanted to point that one out too. So obviously, we are talking about potential new sewer district extensions, County Road 28 having a new sewer extension potentially. I'm sure some of my fellow town board members would be interested, if any of you all would have interest in commenting on County Road 28 and whether or not it makes sense to put sewers there, because obviously anywhere you put sewers encourages development. That is obviously always a concern for all of us, is where we're encouraging development in town. So those were the natural resource goals. I don't want to take up everybody's entire evening on a gorgeous day like this, but do me a favor and go through this other section that I gave you, or those of you online, look up from the resolution on our goals for the year for the ECB, which was this was all from January in the town board. So if you go scroll back and look for our annual report, which Kimberly, I can have you put on this page, right?
Yeah.
Do you have it somewhere?
Do you have it?
I don't know if I have an electronic form.
I-
have it in paper
I
form.
do. Jared and I wrote it together, so
You
I
did,
know I
okay.
have it.
If you want to send me that. I
Yeah.
can-
So Kimberly will
Definitely.
post that on our page on the town website. If everybody can just do me a favor and go through it and see, read through it and see, is there something that we're missing here? Is there something that we could be working more on here? I think we're hitting a lot of these with what we've already been doing. But I mean, when we have plans and to-do lists, I like to occasionally take a peek and be like, oh, are we doing?
Oh, we're
what
on
we
track.
planned to do?
We're not.
Or did Jared and Shauna just write this for fun?
Yeah, it was great.
And by the way, we have an annual report due in December, if I
Yes.
remember.
So yeah, we'll have to start working on that again after our event in October then, so that we can.
Oh, that reminds me, the planning board has theirs due
Yeah,
soon.
July.
Mhm. Well, that would be this month.
Yeah, that's this month.
Yeah.
So, fun times. So yeah, so I don't want to go through all that now, but if you guys can all just kind of read that and see what makes sense, and then we'll get back to our agenda here. The next thing on there was under new business is site visits and checklists, which do we have an official checklist in our MRI?
Yes,
We have a site assessment checklist.
yes, there is
I
a,
just found this, so. I'm
Yes.
thinking, where is it in here?
it's an appendix,
Okay.
appendices in the back, I believe.
Okay.
I'll find it
Yeah, that'd be quicker than me.
It's not in the back, but it's in here. Here it is.
Can you tell everybody the page?
Yes, that would be, well, after 44. Not 45, but it's, if you get to 44, it's right there.
Okay, so.
And also, there's a review guide. Not only is there
Okay, so
assessment.
assessment
a, yep,
checklist.
yep.
So we can use that then, if everybody's okay with that, as our.
Yep, and if you want, we can actually create this as its own little.
Let's do that, and
Document.
again, put it on the ECB page.
So you guys can all get to it.
Well, and it's nice for the public to see what we're assessing as well,
Yep.
so.
It's
So-
really
and then we can
helpful.
just print it off from there when we go somewhere.
So it's a matter
So
of,
folks online, this basically has a resource, information needed and sources. And it's looking at ecological communities, land cover, endangered threatened species, woodland, the hydrology of the site, water bodies, riparian buffers, wetlands, floodplains, stormwater, and then parks, trails, recreation, resources, historic resources, scenic view, ag land. And then there's sections on impact, information needed, potential mitigation. This is great, by the way. Yeah, so that, I think we can bring that, that would be great if we can have an attachment for
can.
that.
Yep.
And then we can all just bring that with us when we go. And I would love it if we could get back to a point where we can have somebody on each project going there and being the lead person and maybe writing up, I know Justin, you've done this in the past, but maybe writing up a summary from the site assessment checklist of what they saw and what was, a report. If everybody agrees that that makes sense, I think that would be
absolutely.
good to do, but I think using this would really help. I mean, I think any of us could probably do this or talk to Shauna and get the answers to things we may not know.
The ag review, the ag committee does a really nice report.
Mhm.
I like their format. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
Not that
Oh,
format right now.
yeah, their format's great.
Okay.
I can send that to
That
you.
would be great.
Are you gonna?
The
pull it?
one that,
The one that they send,
I
they're
read-
just their,
I read
their
their
project
minutes, but I
review. Yep, so, right, so this
Okay.
is the one for Simmons Rockwell.
Yes, I saw this.
Yeah, and then, so I like this part, project is in the ag district, it is
Okay.
not being farmed, it is
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
protection
yeah.
area, it's not,
Yep.
it's really nice. They always rank, they always put the soils,
Mhm.
it comes right off of Encore, but it's super helpful.
So we don't need to do the soils then if they're already doing that, so. But we do probably need to do, is it in the scenic view shed? Is it,
I usually do that if you, reading my ZLDs is pretty
okay,
important too, just because that has a lot of information.
So it's a matter of really familiarizing, at least for myself, refamiliarizing myself with the town codes.
yeah.
Yes,
Going through
me
all
too.
those, I've done it once and some of it stuck, and maybe I'll make my own little cheat sheet.
If
And
you do that, share it with all your
Yeah.
friends. I would like a
Sort of-
town code cheat
sort
sheet.
of cross.
Oh my God, me too. Where I could
Cross-reference with
find
this.
everything.
Because this is great, this is, I mean, not all of these will apply to
Right.
many of the smaller
Yeah,
assessments or sites we look at, but, cross-referencing the two. And then, making a matrix, yes, no,
Yeah.
yes, no, amount, percentage, so everyone get a quick look. Observations, comments, anecdotes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Side stories.
okay, I'm gonna make a note here about using the ag committee format. For reports. Okay, I think we already talked about CIC and local history team and the tree board, pretty much strategic goals. We all know what those are, I hope at this point. Future training opportunities. How's everybody doing with getting their hours? Are we, because we're at the halfway point of the year here, I just want to make sure. I
Just signed up for that municipal boot camp.
If you're
Okay.
curious, we have a log.
Oh, okay.
So we
Yeah.
need existing and new members to be getting training. So it's, what is it, 12 for new and 8 for
8,
existing?
4.
4 for existing.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep, 4.
so.
And the training day we
Was
had here, you know,
5.
that counted for some of them.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep. If you were here all day, I think you got 5 hours.
It's here for all but one, but
Yeah, it was 4 or 5 hours.
And there's a number more listed here if you're looking for any more. And there's also Association of Towns does some great training
Mhm.
too. I don't know if that's all in here either, but.
New York Planning Federation's doing one at New York Kitchen.
Oh, they
That's
are.
coming up. Mhm.
If there's things that you ever want me to add to the training stuff, just let me know.
Right, and if we do the training day and you sit through a presentation about
I looked at
invasive
training.
species, you can get a, you know.
And we talked about next month, if you could do training on reading site maps and things. like that.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is kind of, I was thinking about it when Eric mentioned it.
Yeah.
Where I go, what I do, how I work around in the code, where I find things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
yeah.
And
Like
I
you're sitting
think-
at my desk.
I
I might
think-
actually do that. Maybe I'll zoom in from my computer upstairs and maybe
Okay.
that would be the easiest way to do it. Yeah,
Okay.
or at home or wherever I'm at, but yeah. Yeah, would that be
Okay.
helpful?
Yes, and I also think that we should get a town training that we can invite maybe some of the people running for office to as well. A town training on Encore and using more than just the basics in Encore, so. Because there's so much in there and
There's
she had
so much
offered in that
information.
training to do an actual, not just the overview thing, but an actually everybody sit down. and
Yeah,
do
with
the
a
same kind of
computer.
thing
Yeah,
and fiddle. So, because the overview thing, I think most people in this room have a basic understanding of how to use Encore and what it is. I know I have a pretty basic understanding of it, but it would be nice to have somebody there to kind of guide through the areas that you may have missed and not be aware of.
Yeah, it's easy to,
And I think that's something we need for more than just this committee, so.
when I first stumbled upon it, I really did stumble upon it. I went down the rabbit hole pretty much for an entire day, like, this is so cool.
It is.
And it was after I did a big Ononda Park site project for a course I took. Like, where was this months ago?
right.
Honestly, too,
I
we
love
could
it.
invite the Encore manager gal.
Sherry.
Sherry, to our event.
Oh, right.
Because I mentioned, I don't know about you guys, but I mention Encore to people all the time and nobody has any idea that this even exists. And, you know, like, I had a friend who wanted to put up a fence and she has no idea where her property line is. And I'm like, well, this is not definitely definite, but it'll give you an idea. It looks like those trees are on your neighbor's lawn or something like
Mhm.
that, you know, so.
Mhm.
So it just for basic planning needs and figuring out who owns what, where, when, why, and how.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
useful,
yeah, I
so,
mean, we use it all day long.
Yeah,
Even soil types. I now know
Yes.
Why
All
my
the
front lawn
above.
looks so much different than my back lawn.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yes.
Steep slopes, all of the above, and you know, it's really such a wonderful resource that we're so lucky to have.
We are, because I was looking up something, I was trying to
Oh,
get
yeah.
something in Yates County and I was
Exactly.
so irritated.
When I used to work for Pam, I was trying to figure something out, who owned
Ugh.
something and what shape the
It's-
property was, and I'm like, they don't
Oh
have an
my
Encore here,
God.
how do they exist? It's
Yeah,
these
Crazy.
still use horses and buggies.
they do.
you know, my goodness. Anyway, all right, so are we good? Can I have a motion to close
That's
the
funny.
meeting?
I'll move to adjourn.
Anybody want to second that?
You can second it, right? I think I moved.
All in
something.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, online friends.
Online friends.
Thank you.